Welcome back, everyone. Week 5. Again, it's just gone in so fast. Another episode of Bored to Death. For the first time ever, we've got our first ever returning guest.
Co-host.
Ooh. Well, essentially now co-host.
I'm just kidding.
Brandon is back.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
There's a dream and you're loving it.
Yeah, a little bit. I like attention, so.
You like attention?
I do like attention a little bit.
Skateboarder likes attention.
I know, isn't that strange?
Speaking of attention, Shug.
The biggest attention seeker in Glasgow.
He's here. Are you ready
Hi
to
guys,
talk?
glad to be here. Pleasure.
Cool. And last but certainly not least is Cameron. All right.
Cracking a cold one.
As we do in every episode, we're just going to delve into the start of everyone's origin stories. I'm not going to bore you with mine. That's probably the most boring one you'll hear, to be honest. Brandon, we've already covered you.
Yeah, I'm old news.
Speaking of old news.
That's like ageism. That's the ageism.
Shug, it's the question I ask everyone when they come on the show. When did it all start? Do you remember buying or being bought your first skateboard?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, 1985 would have been the first time I bought my first kids skateboard, which was a big skateboard, which I got out of Grieve Sports in the town, which is still about. So, and it's just like a cheap kiddie kind of like, wow, it's got rubber wheels, it's pink. You had a mummy on the bottom with like pink rails, tail skid, like nose bone. Old boards had like your tape on the top and the bottom, but the middle was like the graphic as well.
Yeah.
So you just had like this 2 bits and you could look at this front graphic as well, which was amazing. So I was just like, oh, I want this. I seen it in the window like with my parents and I was like, after seeing Back to the Future, and I just want to be Marty McFly, push around holding onto cars and stuff. So I seen that and I was like, oh, I've got to get that for Christmas. Oh, I've got to get one of these. So yeah, 85, Grieve Sports.
And then did you just start doing it yourself? Did you meet anyone else in the neighbourhood or whoever was doing it?
Yeah, I was quite fortunate. I was in the show home at the top of my estate, which was like on top of a hill. And previous, before if I can go back a bit, there was neighbours down the street from me who had polyprop boards and cycles. So they had this blue fiberglass board. So I kind of seen a skateboard, but knew nothing about it at the time. I was too busy going on my grifter on my bike, doing no hands on my grifter, just flying down the street. I was a bit of a daredevil. I could bomb down hills like on a grifter, no hands. I ain't doing that today. I mean, I looked at it and I'm like, wow, that's gnarly. And I would bomb down a hill and I would carve around the corner on my bike. But I seen my neighbours and I was like, oh, what's this? And it was like red fiberglass wheels, horrible, not proper rubber, like just... And I was like so scared. I tried to stand. They were telling me, oh, if you stand and you do this and do that, you can stand on it and manipulate the turn. But I was like, nah, give me it, sat in arse. Just sat my bum and bombed down a hill. So I left that and I was like, I didn't even look back at it. But after 85, when I seen Back to the Future, I was like, oh, that's a skateboard. That's what that thing is down the street. But it's bigger, it looks safer and it looks more fun. And it's bright, it's punk, it sticks out. It's like, it's like anger. Just like pure, and I'm like, ooh, I want a piece of that. And I think at that point, in the 80s growing up, it's all becoming Americana around me growing up. You know, America's getting a lot of influence into like, our culture in Scotland from like TV, different things. So that was the closest I could get to America.
Yeah.
It was, you know, it's like a far off thing that we're all trying to be part of. So when you see that, you're like, oh. And then I took that out. I was rolling around the top of the street. My mate down the street from me, we used to get into comics like Batman and DC comics and Marvel comics, and we used to swap them. We used to play poker and stuff and gamble comics away. I used to lose all my best comics to my pal. He was like, he's just like an absolute chancer, this guy. He's always into trying to make money or doing something on the side. So his pals down the street from that, Gary Meek, and then the older guy, his next door neighbour, they knew about real skateboarding. They were like, he had a Paul Peralta ex-Bo Night, Mike McGill, and he was a couple of years younger than me, but it felt like he had the best of everything. But he had the videos as well, which I knew nothing about. I didn't know skateboarding existed at this point. I'm just like, this is a toy. I'm just playing about trying to be Marty McFly, doing skids or whatever. You know, like, in the rain, trying to like slide around in the rain. And I took my board out in the rain like so many times for so long. I pushed freaking Mongo, not knowing anything about it, because I think Marty McFly's pushed Mongo in the film, if you've seen Back to the Future. So I'm doing that. And then these older guys, Gary's there, and Scott Burgess was his next door neighbour. And he was like an arty guy as well. He was writing his Judge Dredd, and he used to do die-cast figures and paint them and stuff. So he had like the Stick-It Sticks boards, which you could go to the shop, get a pro board, get the shape of it, cut it out with the concave and make it all up your own way. So he had like grip tape with like different leopard print on it and stuff, and it was all just dead loud. He had like tight denims, he had like white high-techs, he had like a lumberjack shirt. They had like ramps, they had like jump ramps. So it's jump ramp time. In real skateboarding terms, it's jump ramp time just now. I'm just trying to learn how to just roll on this thing, or even, not even all, I don't know all exist, I don't think. And they're like, boom, pulling airs and whatever over these jump ramps. And I'm like, whoa, there's a world and outside of like what I know, I think this thing is, that I don't know anything about. And Gary's got the magazine, so I first see this Thrasher magazine, and I think it's got Stevie Cabo on the front doing some, which is weird at the time. You think it's 80s, you're probably expecting it's a vert photo on the front cover. I think it's a street photo, and I think he's doing some kind of layback, kind of like grind on a curb. But he's got Thrasher pants, like joggy pants.
Wow.
Bright pink t-shirt, he's tip blonde hair. It's just pure punk, but it pure sticks out. This is his first
image.
American magazine. Oh, this is American. You have to like order this from America to get this. You're flipping through it, and it's like all American shops where you can buy the boards and stuff, you know. And then I'm like looking at all the pictures, and I'm thinking, this is nuts. This is like something I don't know anything about, but this is what I'm somehow strangely just drawn to. And then they tell me more about what's going on. Gary gives me Wheels of Fire, which is a Santa Cruz video, and that's the first skateboard video I see. So that's Christian Asoloy, Natus, Rob Roscop, Steve Alba. It's pretty much all vert with a bit of street skating in it from like that. So I could see that, and I was like, vert's where you think you're going to be. You're looking at this at the time, and it's like, oh, this is what skateboarding, this is what these guys that are good are doing. They're doing vert. But the kids are learning the street stuff, so you can go, okay, right, I'm going to start off doing this stuff, and some point I'll get to the stage, I'll be this vert superstar flying around doing all these airs and hand plants, which never, ever happened. But when you see it, that's what, you know, it builds this model around watching that video to make you think that's where it's going. This is where skateboarding's going. This is, if you want to be a good skateboarder, you have to do it all. So that's what we did. And then if suddenly, once one skater's like hanging about another, Gary's mate, Burgess's mate, there's a couple of boys from Coatshill across the road, which we hadn't seen before. And I've got this little flat bank outside my house. It's very, very kind of slight, slimmer. You can skate it like a flat bank, but it's really kind of low, mellow. But they come over to skate it, and they're like pulling like bonelesses down it and all that. And that's the first time I see a Santa Cruz graphic. I see the Jeff Grosso graphic on Lobo's board, and it's got the Jack in the Box, and that just sings to me. I just see that, like, he's got the Smith gloves on, the lumberjack shirt, tight denim, just doing this big aggressive boneless boom into this wee bank, and I'm like, whoa. These guys are amazing. These are like gods, you know. These are like so stylish. These guys are really good. And they're like, yeah, we're not hanging around with you kids. You know what I mean? Like, you're a grom. You're not even properly skating. You can't even push along the street to follow them where they're going. You don't know that at the time because you just want to accept it. So you're sitting there crying, going, oh, you know what I mean? I can't skate with these guys. You know, like sitting on the top of the hill, like, oh, nobody likes me. Oh, what am I going to do? And you're just like, oh, I'll just have to learn this. So you're outside, like, playing around on a curb. There's like water hydrant signs that are made out of concrete with big double H's on them right outside your door. I think there's for the keys for the water or something. They're really old, like, and you're trying to like stall on top of them and jump off them like that and stuff. There's just a big electronic box. I've got a photograph of this. My dad took this, and like it's weird. I've got a crazy stylish like old jumper on. I had no style. Like, I knew nothing about style. I knew nothing about music. I come from a deaf background, so I didn't know about music growing up or any of that. So I don't have any like fashion coming from that. Deaf families aren't really known for being fashionable in general. So I didn't see my parents and see any kind of fashion links to like, be kind of cool and trendy or anything like that for all the kids I play. I'm 12 or 13, so I'm not really into that sort of thing. But there's this big green electric box right out in front of my living room window, and I've got a photograph of me bonelessing off this, and I've got like green leather like moccasin like shoes to skate in, not like even proper skate shoes.
Yeah.
And I'm doing this boneless, and somehow I managed to land. I don't know how. I must have tried it about 10 or 15 times, but I land on the board. I've got no coordination. I don't know what I'm doing. So it goes from that. We've got hill at the top of the hill. So you learn to like start going round the hill, bombing down the hill and getting down the rest of the estate. Gary's is further down the street. Scott's there. Got round the corner to your right again. There's another group of skaters, young kids. It seems like in 85, everybody gets a skateboard. Seems to be a toy, but everybody gets, and then you kind of figure out real skateboarding and kind of like all start to kind of get into it. You know, certain people drop off. There's a few people stick it, and there's a good 7 or 8 all in. So I'm lucky in my state. I've got kids to like skate with.
Yeah. Some skaters die. Shug is still Shug. Shug still skates.
Some of those guys are like became junkies, went to prison. Some of those guys are dead. You know, like
Shug is
they were just kids at the time. You know. But yeah, but that's how it starts. So that's the kind of romantic start of like what I seen and what was around. I'm very fortunate to have a lot of kids of my own. They weren't peers, but they were just kids all together, like just hanging out. So I managed to spend a lot of my time with those kids just doing that. We built jump ramps and we did that sort of stuff, and we all just learned to try and skate.
And the rest is literally history.
It's a long way to get to, like, obviously where I got to. But yeah, I think in Blantyre, I just have the bug more than them, I think, at the end of the day. Robo and Rab and my mate Norrie from up high Blantyre, who's Robo and Rab's pal. He's a bit younger. He's a bit more cooler. He's like talking to me and I'm skating with him, and he gets the blind Jason Lee cat and hat board and that. He's doing mute grabs. But the connection from Glasgow is Norrie's skating Glasgow as well. And so he knows like Toby, Sam, Colin and all those dudes before I do. So he's like already hanging out with Rab and Robo, and they're maybe going to Glasgow and skating and going to Hamilton and skating. But I think Norrie fits in with Glasgow because he's a bit more modern. Mm-hmm. He's the guy that everybody's looking at and is like, oh, he's as good as the guys, that are good. Yeah. He's progressing. He's a bit younger, but he's going to be one of the better skaters. Yeah. Because he's doing 1-foot tail grabs off like jump ramps and stuff. He'd have mad style. He's doing mute grabs off quarters and launch ramps and massive like melancholy boneless. He's on the flat and stuff like that. Look really cool. He's like stylish. Do you know what I mean? He's into his music. He's into hip hop. So he gets into like De La Soul. So he's putting flowers on his shoes and stuff like that. Back in that De La Soul kind of era. So he's into all that. So I'm picking that sort of stuff up from him. Different kind of music. And I'm like, all right, cool. But then again, on the other side of that, there's a mate, Eddie, who's in my estate. So I'm really kind of linked to the guys in my estate because Norrie and Robo and Rab are from another estate, and Blantyre's crazy. It's got gang fighting. So it's like, if you go to another estate and you're not from that estate, you're getting chased and you're getting beat up or whatever's happening. And like skaters are not being accepted anywhere. Yeah. So anywhere you go, you're going to get attacked or chased or whatever. So you try and stay in your little bubble, in your little area. So there was enough people there in my estate for me to do that for a while till I realised we're not really into it, or they're kind of falling off, or they're not bothering. And I feel like just something tells me that I've got to go with these guys or get around and broaden my horizons and move and try and skate different places and be around different people as well.
But it worked for the better.
Yeah,
in the end.
Yeah, I think it probably only worked because those guys just didn't skate anymore, and then you had to like find other people or be around. And because it's such an anomaly in my area, there only is 3 or 4 people. So when I get to the age before I leave school at 16, 14, 15, I'm at school, I'm the only skateboarder. The only skateboarder in school.
The grandfather of Glasgow skateboarding.
So you think what that's like. I'm like the only young kid there.
And look at the kind of people that you're influencing here. Okay, look at Cam over here.
Speaking of, Ayrshire representing. Plates on Cretes. We just discovered we grew up in the, what would you call it, constituency?
West Coast, the actual West Coast.
We're going to say the West Coast.
The actual West Coast.
It sounds so much cooler.
North Ayrshire. Ayrshire. The Shire, as Chris Bailey refers to it.
Yeah.
But I think he's more South Ayrshire. I don't think he'd let me say North Ayrshire is the Shire.
Oh, that was East. But
East Ayrshire.
East Ayrshire.
Oh, that is a shame.
But same story right back at you. Where did it all start?
Well, it's nowhere near as romantic as Shug tells his tale. I was just, 2014, so like second or third year. I had like no mates. Was like, oh, some kids are skateboarding.
Sounds like me.
So like, I'll just get a skateboard. So like, asked my mum to get a skateboard or whatever. And I think my first one was an airwalk. It would have been Christmas. An airwalk complete and matching.
Airwalk complete.
With matching airwalk shoes.
Wow.
They had
the whole look.
They had foam soles on them.
Oh my word.
Right? Or it might have been like foam sole with rubber sole on the bottom. Like it was just some construction. And I remember wearing down the heel of it within 3 days to nothing. And then my mum taking it to a cobbler's and got like a soot shoe glued on
God almighty.
So I had, that could be something right now.
That could be a look. That could be another look.
Can I interject just there, just what you did there? Like parents are always trying to help things to prolong or help. My dad, because I was out in the rain, my board's falling apart. He painted my board in hammerite. Black hammerite.
Bitumen type thing.
Yeah, it's meant to be waterproof or something like that. It made my board weigh a ton. And he's like, yeah, go out and skate in the rain with that, son. That'll last forever. This big, heavy hammerite board that's all black and grainy, which when you touched it would just rip or something.
I skated those shoes and probably no longer than 2 weeks. Not through choice. Probably liked them quite a lot, but, they just disintegrated. And
wow.
all the kids at the park had all their new like Zoo York boards or their flip boards, and they were all sick and had this airwalk board that my mum and dad bought me. And I think remember seeing a price tag at some point for it, and it was like 95
What
quid.
age were you at that point?
2014, so 15.
Still young,
14,
so-
15.
You get a pass at the park for that.
Yeah, well, not for them, but you know,
Wow, you're making me feel really old.
Oh my god.
14.
I'm 23.
I know,
Oh,
2014
okay.
doesn't feel like that long ago.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
God.
I think I started skating. It was 2013, 2014. I can't really remember.
And when did you come up to G-Town? When did you make the move?
2 years ago. Well, I moved this week or like last
Welcome.
week. Yeah.
Yeah, welcome to
But
Glasgow.
Largs, like a lot of them moved to the older skaters. They're like I've only got vague memories of them rolling joints under the metal prefab ramps in Largs because we had like a really awful skate park right on the beach. And when I mean on the beach, it was like
Yeah.
5 steps and you were wet.
It's really nice.
Like lovely, but the park, no one really skated it properly. We had a few kids that were like pretty good but not great, and then me, my younger brother Ennis, and Lauren were skating together. We're like probably the only few skaters there for a while, and then there was a big push with like the rollerblades BMXers and everyone who used it basically to get a new park in Largs. So my mum and someone's gran like came together to try and like get this done, and they managed to get a new concrete park put in.
Wow.
Still there, what was?
Not with the airwalk board. This was a few years later. But,
That's good though. Sick.
and yeah, folk just started progressing after that. Like I think everyone who skated with me then kind of stopped, apart from maybe one guy, Evan, who's like the only guy from Largs that I can really think of that's also still skating. But there was like no scene there. We used to go through Evolution and Sawcoats to like skate with the cool guys who were there. But yeah, there wasn't really a huge scene in
So
Largs.
did you all start together at the one time then? You all got both together?
Well, my younger brother's rollerbladed for ages,
Right.
and then I kind of picked up my like skateboarding or whatever for making mates or whatever, and I used to go around and play Tony Hawk's Underground 2
Yeah.
at one of my mates' house.
Sick.
But
I love that game. I'm
Yeah.
not like I love the series, but that particular game. It's
Yeah.
a soft
I
just-
spot for me.
It's a good one.
the only thing I can really remember of it is that you could tag the walls in
Yeah.
it, and like that's the most standout thing for me.
My favorite thing from that game, I'm pretty sure it was that one. I was thinking about this the other day when like the very first like scene when you're like trying to like get started, someone's like, "Get your soggy mop flips out of here." I was like, and I always thought he said mop flips.
So
I was like,
mop,
what's
is it
a
like
mop
mop?
flip? Like mop and floor. So I called them mop flips for a long time.
That's pretty good. What was he saying?
Mob.
What? Mob flip. It's
Mob
a mob
flip.
flip. Yeah, when you like
When you don't level your board out and it's like
Rock
an
it a
angle.
little
Oh, like a
rocky.
rocket flip. Oh,
Yeah.
I haven't heard that.
So usually at this point in the show, what we do is we do 10Q, which is the same 10 questions. They're not getting quite still yet. I mean, we're only, episode like 5? But we've now opened up these questions to our Instagram followers, and they've sent in some questions for the guys. So I'm just going to hit these out, and these are like a short snap answer back. So the first person that has sent in a question is @_Lorne_hub, and she wants to know, why has Pleats not done a super fakey yet?
That's a good question.
What is a
I
super
would say
freaky?
super did fakey. I believe she's referring to,
What
and
is that?
would be
You've never
because
seen
it's
Super?
wholeheartly not a trick, and I will not be attempting it.
What is it meant to consist of?
Super did, where you double grab your
Right.
board, and
Got you.
as you air, you chuck it above your head.
Oh, like a kind of Christ there, but you go up and back.
Yeah, like a
down.
Christ there, but with
Yeah.
both hands up
Yeah.
above you, and then you land back on it.
Got you.
And
Dangerous.
Cam's one of the only
That's
people that
right.
can do it.
yeah, I wouldn't boast about that. Please don't tell folks. I already have the nickname Super Did in Birmingham, and I don't want it to
Super
travel.
Brandon, you're getting a free plane ticket in the morning.
Right.
Oh, that isn't real, by the way. So I'm so sorry. I should have said that before. Fuck. Okay, you're getting a free plane ticket in the morning,
Right.
and you can go on your ultimate skate trip. You can bring your buddies. The
Right.
tickets worldwide.
Where are we going?
What city are you going to?
I don't know like a particular city, but I've always heard about China being like a really, no, I'm serious, being like a
Wow.
really like mecca for skateboarding, like a very like untouched
Yeah.
mecca for
Ledges.
skateboarding.
Legends.
So I kind of would love to go skate in China.
It's in China Skate Mecca.
That's what I've heard. I've
Girl
heard
chocolate guys.
Yeah.
That's what they went in, and they
Yeah,
opened it up. and
several
blew it
people
up
have
for
gone there,
everybody.
and it's kind of, I don't know, it's a thing.
Cameron, next question for you. What's your favourite park to skate?
Park? Don't know. I quite like a lot of parks. I'm going to say Largs.
Because it's the one you grew up in. This has been like the common trend when we ask this question.
The
And I
home-
get
the
it. It's
home-
like a
the
nostalgia
home.
thing. It's like your home.
Oh, you're used to it as well. You know the lines of your own park more than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think most Scottish parks are pretty dire though. So like, the one you're used to is probably like the
You're
best
lucky
one.
to have them. I had nothing.
No, Inverness Park is the best though.
I was just there this week.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
Do
Yeah,
you,
it's the
do you-
best.
do you support that message? Is it?
I've got like a sprained ankle, so I couldn't really skate. But I was
How'd
there.
you sprain your ankle? Do you want to get into it?
Yeah, I was trying to show someone up. I'm just kidding. But
Are you?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh.
No,
He was trying to show up Ross Zach.
I was a little bit. But no, Inverness is sick.
You told me that.
Yeah.
Earlier.
Don't let it get around.
And
You Americans in your competitive ways.
Ross wants to know when your karma box is coming.
I don't know, but I've heard from James Hewitt, who's the team manager of Karma, that it's been lost in the mail and it should be coming any day now. He told me that a year ago, and I still have faith it's going to be coming through that door any day now.
Better phone the postman. Shug,
Yeah.
what's your favourite album of all time?
Oh,
And I mean album
honestly, that is like
as a
really,
body of work, like start to finish, like that
God,
album
that's
that
so hard.
you could go to.
I've got such longevity in listening to music now that how can I pick that?
You
That's
gotta
like,
pick one.
oh man.
To be fair, it
Jeez.
doesn't have to be your favourite. Maybe one that's in like your top 5.
One that you
10.
can just play most,
Yeah.
like one, like every
no
song on
skips.
that album. Yeah, that you would be like, oh, I need to think about that, man. That's hard. Because like nowadays with Spotify, I'm just whatever. I don't listen to albums anymore. But back in the day, oh man, I'll go out on a limb and I'll just say this one because it's so left field and it's right at the very beginning, like hanging about my area about the story about hanging about Blantyre. Because I didn't listen to music, I'll go with my very first album that I'd ever heard music. Slippery When Wet by Bon Jovi. The whole album. Rock 80s, more Americana again,
Yeah.
and I was just drawn to it. I loved some of the tunes on some of the other songs that are on that album that are pretty cool compared to like the big ones that got kind of hits.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Raise Your Hands at the end. Raise your hands. Ding, stuff like that.
That's
yeah,
the Spotify edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
So, last question for you two guys, just to make it snappy. Ross wants you to tell us about the toilet at Fart Academy.
Oh, that's terrible. That's a terrible
Do you want to
story.
pass?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
It's actually, I got this t-shirt as compensation for it. But,
From a toilet?
Yep. So we were skating Far Academy for, I think we were doing a Karma trip in Kent, and I tag along with them because it's all my mates. And Jess Russell dropped her car keys down the toilet, and it wasn't like a traditionally plumbed toilet. It was into a macerator, which basically blends up all the sewage for then passing through a pipe, right? And so Brent, who runs Far Academy, was like, oh, the toilet's been clogged, or Jess has lost her car keys in the toilet. And then Shibuko Beardmore comes out the toilet and he's like, oh, what's going on? And he'd just taken a shit, right? So the car keys had blocked the macerator, so it didn't work. Shib had just taken a shit into the toilet.
I'm going home.
this is getting all deleted.
So yeah, it broke the macerator. And then Brent went to Ross. He was like, Ross, you're a joiner. Do you know anything about plumbing? And he went, no, but Cameron does. And so Brent came up to me and he was like, do you think you can give a hand?
Physically.
Physically, yeah. So I was like, yeah, I kind of have an idea, but I don't really know. And so I went in and he'd give me marigolds or whatever, like, and we take the lid off it. We took the toilet out and we took the lid off of this macerator, and it's just like shit soup. It's like a bowl of shit soup. And then so you got to go in blind and just
Feel for it.
feel for it.
There was no gloves.
I think, yeah, no, there was gloves.
Right, okay.
There was gloves, but you know, you got a certain point and it'd start backfilling.
Oh no.
So like,
This is
Shib's
ridiculous.
my friend here, but we got very friendly after that. You know, when I'm elbow deep in his shit, basically.
I'm sitting drinking this brown Lipton tea. And
And
right off it, Cam.
so I'm elbow deep in Shibuko's shit and feeling about, and I managed to pull out Jess's car keys. The macerator's still broken, and I get that, like, we rinse them off or whatever, and we wash them and give them back to her. And then Brent, who owns Far Academy, was like, oh yeah, just pick anything you want off the rack. And I get there and it's like like Ralph Lauren polos or something.
I'd be like, yes.
And there's a Mike V t-shirt on it, and
Pick the Mike V t-shirt
Yeah,
over
I'll
Alfred Polo.
I'll take it.
What
I
the
didn't
hell?
want. Yeah,
Damn.
yeah.
I mean, that question literally was, tell us about Fire Academy. I had no idea where that was going. You could have, like, that was like in the last 10% of where I thought it was going to go. As you guys know at this point, every episode we have our buzzword that we're going to discuss. For this week, it is ageism.
Oof.
Ageism.
Is that directed right at me? That's why I'm here, is
Just
it?
to
not at
preface
all, not at all.
it, Shug is 75 years old.
Oh no,
Yeah,
God
my
love
body's 75 years old, even though I'm 48, but my body certainly does feel a little
Nah,
older.
but you're 48 going on 30 the way you skate.
Yeah, you
so.
just get younger every
That's
year.
the problem. The way I skate, I feel good, but when I'm not on my board, I feel bloody awful.
I mean, I think it's an important thing to talk about, because I think
Of course.
ageism comes from attitude. Like, as I've
Yeah.
been open about on the show, like, I only
Yeah.
recently started at the start of the pandemic getting back into skating.
Yes, which has been amazing for those people to do that.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's what I feel. But before I tell that story, this is someone very close to me, so don't go on hard. But the first day that I was like, you know what, I've got my skateboard, like, I'm feeling fresh, I'm going to go to the loading bay, like, I'm getting the train, I'm going up. I posted a picture of the skateboard on the train. I'm having a nice time. In my head, I'm having a nice time. I'm being nervous because it's the
Yeah.
first time I'm going back to skating.
Oh, you'd be scared as well because you don't want to get hurt or anything like that, eh? So,
Yeah, 1,000%. I get this message and it's, are you okay? So I obviously post the skateboard,
Right.
and then I get this DM, are you okay? I went, yeah, how? And this person said, skateboarding at 28, question
oh
mark?
my God, honestly.
What the fuck?
Damn.
Great.
Damn, I used to get that to 18 in the street. Seriously, like in the
Yeah.
street of Glasgow at 18.
Can you believe
You
it?
too
Though?
old to that
28
now.
years old and skateboarding.
But you know what's
Shocking.
funny is I was watching Nine Club. Hi, Nine Club. I'm not trying to be you, by the way. And it was Lee
Yeah.
that was on, was it last week? You were posting about it?
Lee.
Jason?
Yeah, yeah,
Jason
yeah.
Lee,
Jason
yeah.
Lee?
Jason Lee.
Lee Jason, yeah. No,
yeah.
Lee Jason, yeah.
But he was talking
One
about,
of the favourite
when
stylish
his-
skateboarders ever.
yeah, he was talking about on the show that when he turned, I think he was a bit younger, but one of the guys in his crew, whatever, turned 23.
Yeah.
And they were like, you've heard this. He was like, oh, what are you going to do now, man? Like,
Yeah.
you're done, like 23, like
Yeah.
anything past this, you're a joke. And then he was like, looking back now, like at this age, like 23, like I'm just starting.
Just starting to be an adult. You're
You're
starting to
just
really
starting.
learn about the world at that age, aren't you?
I can confirm at 23, I'm really worrying about the world.
How is it?
No, I don't think you probably are worried about the world at all.
But Shug, you are the Madonna of
The Madonna.
skateboarding.
That's why I skated Madonna.
No,
yeah.
like seriously, you've been successful at it. You've
don't know about
lasted
that.
3 decades at it. You're currently relevant.
Mate, I think that's the main thing the old guys probably have a problem with is like, but you've just hit that nail on the head. That's the buzzword, relevance.
Yeah.
You're sitting talking to somebody you did 20 years ago and you're like, nah, go and do it today. Who gives a fuck what you did 20 years ago?
I love it. Like, I love it.
That's how you live your life, you know, and that's how you don't age, I don't think.
That concept of ageism, like, I just brought it up randomly, but like Madonna, for example, right? Say in the 80s, we're talking about 1985. Say Madonna's in a leotard on a stage.
Yeah.
Madonna's now, I think, 64, 63. She's still doing shows in a leotard on a stage. And people be like, get over it, granny, like, move on. And I'm like, see, this concept, this is ageism.
Right.
Whether it's skateboarding, you're telling someone that they can or shouldn't be doing something.
Or they shouldn't dress like some of the young guys and that. Like,
Because of
my
their
wife's like
age.
that. My wife's like, oh, why are you dressed like young guys?
Shug's still wearing a leotard
And
when
I'm
he
like-
skates.
If you dress a certain way and act a certain, feel a certain way, you're going to feel younger. It's going to make you feel better.
Do you know,
And you
it-
don't stick out like, oh, there's the old guy that skates that's just fucking boring. It's got nothing to him. He's just boring. That's the problem with it.
I think I think it is interesting though. Like just in the past years, how skateboarding has come even more into the spotlight with like things like the Olympics and like street leagues and stuff like that. It's been pushed more and more into
But
the
the pros are
forefront.
lasting longer as well,
And
Brandon,
so
aren't they?
yeah, well, and to like to hear from people that are just starting later on, like people are getting this interest later and later on.
I love that.
And it's so good, but I can see like from an outsider's perspective how it is weird. But like for us that grew up
Yeah,
skateboarding,
it's
like
what we love and what we do.
I always think skateboarding is kind of a weird thing. Like, when I would tell people like, say I'm like 23 and I'm like, yeah, like I was skating with my friends. One of them's 12 and that's how it was for us growing up, right?
Or you go to his house to pick him up and you're like, what the hell?
And I remember too, like I was, when I started skating, I was skating with like, I had my friends that were my age and then their older brothers who were like 19. And then I skated with this really sick dude who was like in his late 20s, who was like a teacher. and stuff like that. And then I like went full circle and I became a high school teacher, and I was skating with kids that
Literally.
were like younger than my students and my students, and like
That's so fucking
Pushes you as
cool.
well.
Like,
It
it
keeps
really
you
is.
relevant because it keeps you in the know of what's going on.
But that's
at
what
the
I'm
time.
saying. Like when you grow up in skating, like this whole idea of being like old, really old and skating, like it's not a thing, because like that's who you had growing up, you know,
Yeah.
and that's who you are for these young kids that start skating. So when you come into it late, and if you didn't have that, I can see from an outside perspective how they're like, why are you getting into skateboarding now all of a sudden, you know? But it's like anything else. People have hobbies. Like
People play football in their 50s.
football, golf,
They might
basketball.
not be pro footballers, but they play five-a-side, or they go and get their mates.
Exactly. It's
50,
just-
60, and
it's
they hang
ultimately
around,
the
kick a
same
ball.
thing.
So why is it not seen as the same thing? It's never been acceptable.
Or it's like old guys that are really into motorcycles.
Yeah, but it's not. Skateboarding just isn't acceptable because it's still seen as a kid's toy.
Do you guys see yourself skateboarding in 20 years?
Questionable.
I don't know. Depends how hard I go.
Is that injury though? Just like considering how sore you are.
Yeah,
and you're like thinking,
that's the only
"Oh,
thing.
yeah."
That's the only factor I ever consider. And
Yeah.
you're probably the same, Shug. It's like injury. Like I would skate until I physically can't.
Yeah. But then you maybe have to find a different way, like what I've had to do. Like you find another niche or another thing you're into. It takes you away from all that hurt.
Right.
You know what I mean? Doing stuff not easier, but it's technical,
Right,
different.
right.
But you're jumping down big stuff. You can't do that forever.
Right,
You can if you
exactly.
wanted to, if you keep yourself fit. But do you want to do it? Because once you've done it, you've done it.
Right.
You don't have to like keep doing it
Right.
and move on.
My main thing is
It's like growing. You grow.
I'm doing joinery with Ross, and it's manual labor. So I've got skateboarding,
hard,
like joinery fucking me
Yeah.
at work, and then like skateboarding in my free time battering me as
But
well.
you're
So it's
also
like,
strengthening your body a lot as well without you realising it. You're doing a lot of fitness and gym work that those pro skate guys are doing, going like work with Red Bull, that go to the gym every day. You're doing that, although it feels sore and hard for you. But there's probably a lot of benefit to keep you
Yeah,
going.
I think there's, like,
as long
the
as you're not hurting
baseline.
your back and stuff like that.
oh, my back's been done for like a while. I think
My
it's like
back's-
genetic
my back's
thing.
pretty
Like,
bad these days as well.
Yeah, no, even like, not even from skateboarding, just life. Like in the
Yeah,
last
yeah.
2 years, I would say.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I've noticed
Since that
thing.
pandemic.
Laying in bed, not moving.
Yeah.
I don't think humans were meant to walk on 2 feet. We're not made for it.
Yeah.
Backs just get sore, knees done, everything.
That's why you can just skate
everything
for longer
shot.
because you're not walking. But I'll shout out Kenty Mad Dogs on Instagram. Liam McLaughlin and his son skate. Now he picked his board up back again. I think he's in his like later 30s maybe. Can you imagine trying to skate and learn skateboarding in your 30s? From the
Well, I
from
mean,
the
I'm
scratch?
essentially doing it at 28.
Yeah, but like you skated like maybe a bit before, like you did it before then.
Like 15 years ago.
Yeah, but somebody that hasn't ever
Saying
done
that,
it,
no, Duke
from fresh from never skateboarding ever.
Michael Duckett does Black Cat skate lessons, and he's had a 7-year-old pick it up.
That's what I mean. How amazing is that? But how? I'm scared skating now, and I've been skating for like 36 years.
Yeah,
How
but you've got
scared must these-
36. You've got 36 years behind you.
I know,
These
but-
guys are just like,
I know, but they must still be so scared to like want
Yeah,
to learn
yeah.
this stuff at that age because they're older. Their body's not used to falling. It's not used to being hurt.
yeah,
Yeah.
It's not conditioned.
yeah.
The brain's not conditioned for it to how to fall and how to learn all that stuff. But I think it's so amazing because if they can come through that and be good,
There was
that's something special, man.
There's a few like older women in
Men, women, whatever.
wasn't it Ellen or something?
Oh,
I think
yeah.
her name was. She was.
She was
skate-
60 odds or something like that.
yeah,
She's on
yeah,
all-
she's
yeah.
shut it.
Shove it cancer.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
she, yeah,
Ellen was
she-
doing the shove it,
Yeah.
yeah,
Passed
and
away,
then there was
God
also
rest.
like a few older folk.
Yeah, it was
did
on
a
the
BBC
news.
thing.
Yeah,
They were
Yeah.
learning at skateboard, and
Well,
it's
the
like,
thing is like when people do this sort of thing, if you start getting active in later life, it's actually better for you in
Yeah,
later
absolutely.
life. Whereas we're all broken because we started young and we've ruined
Right.
ourselves going through life.
I think the like
We don't get the benefit like that person gets like now to do it
Yeah.
when they're older.
and the
To
general
last longer.
the general like consciousness of skateboard has changed like so much.
Oh yeah, of course.
So like it's more of a accessible thing rather than a thing you do when you're an angsty teenager. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's more
No,
of
I
a
get it.
sport now.
Yeah, but to me it was just because I don't know about you, but it's like you're the outsider.
Yeah,
Every
no,
si-
that's exactly
in every
what it was, yeah.
situation, you're like you're only pals with people that skate when you're young. Like you're not hanging out in cool crews or people and
No,
Yeah,
no one got into skateboarding because they're cool. That's what I
No,
always say
exactly.
about
I'll go back to this comment that I don't know if me and you, Brandon, spoke about this. Maybe this is like on the first episode. Like when I was starting to get back into it, like, and I was like following everybody that I knew from back when, as in like the early noughties when I did it.
yeah.
And one of the people obviously was Bar Margera.
Yeah.
And there was a comment made, I want to say this is like maybe like May or June 2020, don't quote me on that, but it was 2020, summer 2020. And Bam was kind of like, you know, if you have not started skating by the time you're 30, like, don't bother.
Really?
Like,
Yeah, fuck
don't
But that's
bother.
quite defeatist as well
That's
to say, because
shocking.
why can you tell
And that,
Andy
like,
that
no,
sort
but
of thing?
genuinely, like, whatever it was in 2020, 27? Yeah, 27.
It's
And I was
ridiculous,
like,
mate. That must have made you feel so bad about
no,
Bam when you said
genuinely,
that
like,
quote.
and I really do like Bam, like,
But that must have
I
made you
really
feel
do
quite
like Bam, but
hurtful to
at
think.
that time I was just like, yeah, like maybe I should just more focus on doing the podcast or doing videos or something. Like maybe it's not like, maybe like that's coming from, for me, one of the best at the time. So that comment did really, it was the thing I just said, I'm feeling stopped for doing something
Right.
simply
Definitely.
because of age.
Yeah, that kind of like defeats the whole purpose of being a skateboarder. And if you're saying to somebody, you can't do this because you're too old to do this, you're like, well, wait a minute, you know what I mean?
But yeah, but
Which
in
doesn't make any
retrospect, maybe
sense.
taking life advice off of Bam Margera is not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I was going to say, you, Brandon, is that an American trait thing because like you have to be good at things and you have to be really like successful at it? These guys all want to be AM, they all want to be pro, they want to be sponsored. So
Well,
get to an age,
no,
I'm
but
not going
Brandon's
to get
that
this.
good,
No,
though.
that's well,
Yeah.
that,
No,
that's
but this actually exists in the industry and things
no,
like that.
and,
You know?
and I agree with you too in a certain respect too, because I can see like from a standpoint of being like I know like I'm 31 and I've skated for a long time and I've like reached this certain level, but like I know and Shug knows, you know, there's nowhere for us to go with it as like an actual job. It can't be any more than like
But you
a
never
passion.
picked up
Right.
to do that.
So
though.
to say, but to say to somebody like, if you're 30, don't even try. Like, what, you know, it's not like everybody has this expectation to be a professional
Yeah.
skateboarder, to make money off skateboarding and to do it as a career. Like, it can be a pure hobby.
So you could be
like,
seeing that through
right?
Bam's eyes, and that could be like, you're not going to make money from this. You're not going to be.
Well, yeah, so
you
it's like
can't do this as your life.
You're taking that standpoint when you say that of being like, well, you're never going to have a career. Well, okay, who cares if you're not going to have a career? Like,
I never
if it's something you want to
skateboarded
do.
I never skateboarded before. I looked at, like I said, I looked at those guys, and it was like Hasoi and Hawk and all those guys doing it, and I'm like, I'm never going to be those guys.
Right.
They're superstars in my mind, and it just never ever left me like thinking I was ever going to be anything.
But I mean, but there is, you know, because we are on the topic of ageism, like there's that thing in skateboarding where it's like, I mean, for the most part, if you are older, if you're like in your late 20s, early 30s, and you're actually trying to like make a career out of skateboarding, you haven't at this point, then more than likely, probably nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, like
Unless you know people.
if we're going to tailor his comment towards that,
Right.
then I do understand
Right.
that. But from a point of doing it for fun or doing it to enjoy
yeah,
yourself,
You do
absolutely.
anything for fun, but can't you?
That's
That's I
fucking
mean,
bullshit.
that's why his
Right,
comments
exactly.
are relevant.
Also, think about how many folk you know that don't have any hobbies.
Yeah, don't have
And
any
it's
life,
like,
mate. They don't
all
have
they
a
do is they
life.
go out drinking.
Those
They
are
don't even
those
do
are the
that.
people
That's
that
their
are
only
saying,
personality
why
trait.
are you fucking skateboarding?
I
Those
know
are the people that are
I
saying
know
Why
it.
don't,
people-
why don't you just go to the pub instead? Why don't you just go and be a barfly and play darts for the rest
I
of your
know
life? It's
people
like,
who don't do anything but work, chase money and work, and don't do anything with their life. They don't
Yeah.
even go to the pub and enjoy themselves. They do
that
nothing.
isn't life.
But that's what they think, is that's what you have to do. And
Yeah.
in the situations I'm in, people I see and job I'm doing, it's like
No one wants to
they've
be
gave
the
their
black
lives
sheep.
up.
Yeah,
Like, if you're with
That's
folk that
true.
you want to skate with, and you're
And I
not the
get
black sheep.
the whole
but-
ageism thing is, I'll bring it back to that point, is I'm the one guy that's with you guys out in the street, and I'm not scared to be out in the street with you guys.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
that
feel
is
so
something. That
bad
is something.
about the guys that I know that, oh, we'll all meet up, we'll skate park, or we'll go indoors, but they won't go out in the street and skate with you because they don't want to be out. I think they feel embarrassed that
I
other people
wouldn't.
would see them in the street.
I wouldn't still.
And they're
no.
good skaters. They could come out, they could hang, they could probably be better than some other guys. But I don't understand what's left them that they don't want to be in the street anymore.
Just a call back to episode 3 about gatekeeping.
Sure,
yeah,
I love that you
it could
remembered
be
that.
well,
I didn't
No, go,
remember
go.
that.
Not just like the old guys that come up, they all criticise Shug for, still skating.
who criticises me? They're all jealous, mate. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's just
Like,
all
I'm
him.
not gonna lie, there'll be an element of that.
Yeah.
Like, I would say as you get older, you get a teeny wee bit more bitter. Not if everyone wants to admit that.
They're all looking for the
That's fair.
acceptance.
Yeah.
But I think obviously if you get
Yeah.
to like your late 40s or 50s and you're seeing someone do something that you can or you wish you could do,
As long as you don't look old doing it. That's
Yeah,
the difference,
no.
isn't it? That's the beauty of it.
Well, it's like the thing is too is like
You
you know,
don't look old doing it because you've been doing it for so
I mean,
long.
an age
I don't
doesn't
look
matter
like the
because
Asian
like
guy at 50.
anybody can go skate with like Shug and know that he's just the chillest dude and just loves skateboarding, lives and breathes
He's
skateboarding.
got
could
every
probably
trick.
still beat you
He's
skate.
got every trick. He's landed every trick at some point. He's been skating
Not
that
every, but
long.
there's been a lot.
Every single one.
I'm just going to refer to you now as Madge. Like every time,
That's the
Madge.
thing when you're talking about Madonna's career. She's learned to evolve and chameleonize herself all the way through every like era to stay
Reinvention.
relevant. You have to reinvent yourself. You want to stay in this, you have to reinvent.
No one's ready for this to come out that Shug is skate Madonna.
I'm filing a copyright on
wish you
Monday
had a-
morning.
I was just thinking about the T-shirt.
Skate Madonna.
Wish Madonna hair, Shug
Like you
face,
said, I wish-
makeup and everything.
Wish I had the money so I could just kick back and not bother.
Madonna wishes she had your steez.
Oh, she does. That's funny.
Jeez, that's funny.
Have you guys got anything coming up you want to plug this summer?
Just skating. Plug all my skating. Any post that I make in the future, I'm going to plug that.
Cashie's video's coming out in it.
Cashie's video. Yeah, Ross's part's coming out.
Yeah, same. Ross's
We
part's
had
coming out.
we had a guarantee with that.
I don't remember what the
Couple of weeks
guarantee
ago.
was, but I'm almost doubting it. But it's a
Cash
cash
is
guarantee. It's a
Yes.
cash guarantee.
He said
but-
some.
He renews it weekly.
Yeah, he changed. Is it May sometime? He said
Live.
May.
He
You'll get it
said
by Christmas.
the time that episode.
Dude, it's
is
been so
out,
long, though.
Then that part. will
Oh,
be
that's
out.
true. That's true. So
he
he's
said
got
that.
like till the end of May.
Yeah.
I feel like I finished that video.
Actually,
like
I think
3 years ago.
I spoke to him today about it, and
He's ready.
He's like, it's done.
I've been editing with him, so like,
He's not been editing that video still, though, has he?
yeah, he is.
Oh my God.
No, I know. He's just,
He's been keep going over it and over it and over it because it's obsessive.
One of my
it's like Michelangelo. He'll be chipping away at that sculpture for the rest of his life.
It's never coming out.
one of my favourite parts of the show. You know it well, Brandon. It's the song of the day.
Song of the day.
You knew it was coming.
Yeah.
You had the whole 2 hours 30 minutes to think about what you were going to do.
We're sitting plugging my song in here then.
Song of the day for each episode. We're asking each of our guests to choose one song. This can be a song that reminds you of skating, that you like to skate to, and everyone's suggestions will be added to the official Bored to Death Spotify playlist, which is open to everyone. So we'll just start with Shug. One song.
Protect Your Neck with the Wu-Tang Clan.
That was easy.
I Should Be Yours by Polly.
Do you know? I don't know if this song was in a skate video, but I heard it again this week, and I was like, this should be a skate video part. But Many Men by 50 Cent. I was like,
I was
dude.
listening to 50 Cent this
I
week.
know. I was like, that actually be a sick video part song. Kind of cool.
And I'm going to do my usual, do one nobody knows. I'm going to say Brand Van 3000. The song is called The Answer.
Can I elaborate on why Protect Your Neck?
I
Because
mean,
my mate gave us the cassette single in San Francisco when we were out skating there. He was writing his hip hop and he had the cassette single of Protect Your Neck before MD knew about Wu-Tang Clan.
So when you guys all listen
So
to that on the
sick.
playlist, imagine that. Imagine Shug and San Fran.
he's got too many San Fran stories.
Oh, it's crazy.
For another
Cypress
time.
Hill, guys going by in the cars screaming and like Insane in Remembering getting played out and guys bumping and walking along the street and stuff like that.
Well, I'm sure we'll have you back. Obviously, Brandon's now like co-host. He was upgraded from guest to recurring.
That's a big deal.
It's going to be main
That's-
cast.
Have
soon, I
we,
just feel
have we
it.
got enough time
You're not-
for one more
you're not-
story
you're not
from
gonna
Shug
make it
about
as
his
a-
trousers?
You're not going to make it as a pro skater, so you're going to have to
Nah.
podcast career, Brandon.
Shug will need his own entire episode.
Yeah, well,
Jeez.
you need to get him back.
There's
Yeah,
too much.
exactly.
There's too-
The plan is we'll see
There's
how
too
things
much
go.
life in it, like,
we'll see how
being
things go, but the plan is to in this summer do one-on-ones. Shug, I will see you there if we get to
talking about
that
the size
point.
of his trousers.
But as always, thank you guys so much for coming by.
Thanks for having us.
problem.
All these guys' Instagram handles will be dropped in the description. You can find them there. And yeah, hopefully you weren't bored to death with that one.
Loved it. Wish I
Never.
could speak more.
Never bored to
Obviously.
death. Always on the board.
Yeah. Shout out for all the people starting skating in like 30s, 40s, 60s. Age is nothing.
Yeah,
Really isn't.
any age.
Keep
Cheers.
fit. Keep fit.
Just shout out to folks.
Watch what you
starting
drink.
skating.
Watch how you do. Look after yourself, and there's no reason why you can't live a lot longer.
I'm leaving it at that.
Sounds like some Scientology.